So the center, what I like about the center of the media center is, for a traditional person, whatever that means, there's nothing radical about that center space. They can immediately feel at home, and the space is useful. And I think it's important to know that space can be easy to understand, easy to translate, easy to use, easy to manage and organize. So the center can be as dynamic as you want, depending upon the co-relationships, or as humble and traditional as you need, depending upon its most simple day-to-day experience. And as we move to more and more mobile technologies and more kind of, we don't need spaces to be radical. We need spaces to be agile. And I think your space can be agile. I'd love it if those bookshelves weren't very high, and that maybe you had more than one floor of, say, 4 foot and lower shelves, as opposed to one floor with, ceiling high or 6 foot and higher shelves. Again, for that ability to get more daylight in, or more visual connection between the hallways and the larger spaces that wrap around the media center. But that's a small thing. And that you've talked about earlier can fit into that space. And I like that you've already thought about those kind of alcove niches as having their own realms, if you would. And what's cool about it also is when you look at calling those little triangulated spaces out, again, it's triangulated as it currently stands, all of a sudden you see this strong cross present itself, this kind of, a vertical and a horizontal axes with a strong rectangle in the center, and then alcoves off to the right and alcoves on the left, plus those are transition or flow or, walking routes. And I think it's important to see that within that grand space, it's kind of like you have multiple spaces within that space, depending upon how they overlap or sight lines. And I think that's really lovely also. So I see radical or innovative where we need it, and I see conservative and practical where we also need it. And that's nice when you, depending on who your audience is, if it's a bond initiative and you're in front of a public, political action committee, or a bunch of senior citizens who have no more kids in the district, but they've got to, give some bond or election or tax dollars up for this or whatnot. So it's good to have, multiple versions of the same story that are all true, depending on your audience. Mac and PC labs, I think those make sense. Conference professional development. If there's anything that I want, and you can't have everything, is I want the conference center to not be hidden. And that can be accomplished in a lot of ways. But I certainly don't mind its orientation as being between the computer labs. I think that makes a lot of sense. So now that top third becomes almost a professional development hub or neighborhood. Because those, like say you held a conference in this library, a conference in the high school or elementary school, all of a sudden you could close that off and have 20 or 100 professionals in that end, and have big breakout spaces with labs and a conference center and the meeting space, or a breakout casual eating space, and then the media center could end up being a larger space. Actually, I'm going to come down in about 15 minutes. No, I know, but do you remember how Papa has the meeting, and we're going to play big time after this? Okay. So see, buddy, see all the folks? They drew this building. What do you think? This is a library. Do you think that's a good library? No? Okay, Beckett, tell them what you want in a library. What's the best thing about libraries? Do you like books? No? What do you think should be in a library? A cow? Ice cream? Ice cream? All right, Beckett votes for ice cream vendor. All right, so we'll leave Beckett to prove that case later. Okay, so anyway, I mean, based on if you guys weren't in the room and I had to just make some assumptions, there's a lot to be done here. If there's anything, and please take this in the right way, and it's going to surprise you, I wish you hadn't used a perfect tool, a sketching tool that allowed really formal.
Whoops, lost you.
I think you're muted.
Interesting.
You need to put up like a stop sign. We can't.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a closest button.
Don't have to do that. Scrape side. Scrape side.